Introducing health and wellness advocate, veteran international real estate investment expert, author and speaker, Adiel Gorel.
Health tips, fitness tips, nutrition and well-being, world-class experts, all right here on my podcast, The Adiel Gorel Show. So now let's talk about the chakras. So let's say, and you have a book about it, which I have not yet read, but I'm certainly going to, but I'm going to ask it like this. So as you move it from, let's say you start at the top and you move it down and you move it down and you move it down to the chakra, do you change your tone? Is it mostly about the colors that you see? Because the chakras usually are associated with colors. I'm very curious about that.
Well, from my perspective, and mind you, I've been sort of researching this for about 40 years, and I'd like to suggest that there are many, many different systems, that we're all fluid beings, and what works for one person may not work for the other. For myself, I've created a system of vowel sounds. Usually I'll go up from the root chakra up all the way to the crown. But if you like to go from the crown, but it's a harmonically related system of the vowels. So I will do this to you, although I'm not sure how well Zoom will pick it up because of various things. But just even without changing my pitch, and I'm going to be going up from the root. I don't know if you could hear those harmonics.
I could hear, but I have a question. You are making a sound, if I'm not mistaken, with your lips not together. Is that
right? This one, it's not humming.
No,
It's not humming. All right, if you like, the hum is the last of the vowel sounds. Ooh, oh, ah, I, a, e. Mm.
So as you travel up the spine, the chakras, you make the vowel sounds. You're not humming.
Exactly.
But you can do it with the hum, just with the hum in your intention. I've gotten that good these days.
However, Adiel, too, with each of the chakras, we have assigned a particular vowel, a simple vowel sound. For instance, the heart chakra is ah, the throat chakra, I, the third eye, A, the crown, E, the solar plexus in the stomach area, O. So it's a
Oh, please continue. The solar plexus is O.
Oh, yes.
Go down.
And then the second chakra is ooh, and the root chakra is
Is what? The root is what?
So it's almost like in cup.
like a guttural sound almost. And
Well, I like the fact that the second one is ooh. I like it.
Or how about the fourth one is ah?
Well, this is really so, but I can go up and down with humming.
Yeah.
Clearly, my feeling, and it's totally non-scientific, is that the hum gives it an extra punch. The vibrational quality. You can go up and down with humming, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. You can hum up and down your spine. You can do the chakras. But once again, a lot of it has to do with being able to also project your intentionality. I have had students who we teach them the vowel sounds. The vowel sounds are wonderful. Sometimes they find that they can just work with the hum and intention and maybe changing a little bit of pitch and do it just as well.
I was going to say the hum does give it an extra punch for sure.
So what are things that our viewers can take away? Let's say they didn't read the book, or maybe they don't have time to read the book. What are very practical takeaways that they can take just from viewing this and start doing?
Cool.
Well,
can I just interject? Talking about the chakras again, I have a very well-known YouTube video called the 7-Minute Chakra Tune-Up, which if people want to go to its head, many millions of views, and it's 7 minutes, and a lot of people use it as a daily chakra toning technique where they will sound along with the 7-minute chakra tune-up by Jonathan Goldman and use it. But
however, Adiel, for our listeners today who maybe this is their only first introduction, only experience to hear about the power of humming, they can begin humming right now simply by taking some nice deep breaths and closing their eyes and beginning to let that hum come out. Just simply focusing on their hum consciously. So breathing, humming, close your eyes. These are very, very simple things that people can do today.
And even if they wash the dishes, their eyes are open. They still can hum.
But it's not going to be quite the same, because I want to suggest that if people do humming, give yourself a few minutes, and particularly if you really get into doing some very deep breathing coupled with humming, and then you stop and you're in silence. Let's say you hum for a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, you feel the vibrations, then you want to be in silence, because it's really in the silence. Silence, if you like, is the yin to the yang of sound. It's the place where the sound can really make the shifts and changes necessary. And oftentimes, believe it or not, when you do that, you'll be very blissed out and very peaceful. So you don't want to necessarily get up and go somewhere, because you might stagger over, because you might be unbalanced, because you're if you like, it's as though you've had some sort of intoxicant for a couple minutes. So you need to ground and get back to your body when you do it. So, allow yourself the pleasure of doing that.
And also the big opera singer shouldn't do these sounds when they wash dishes, because they're gonna make the dishes explode, as we know. So that's not it. But let me ask you about driving. Many people spend a good portion of the day, or even just an hour or half an hour or 15 minutes, but in the car. Many people nowadays, I know it's a very busy and crazy world, they have a lot of time. What can they do in the car?
Well, I'm going to suggest that, even if we recommend people don't hum, or I have over 25 award-winning music for relaxation albums that we recommend not listening to in the car. And guess what? First thing people do is they listen to them in a car.
In the car. We recommend that, people do go into an altered state, often when they are doing conscious humming. So it has to, we say, please don't do it as you're driving your car, but we know that, if you're stopped in your bumper to bumper traffic, sure, do a few conscious hums, absolutely. But if you're driving down the highway at, 70 miles per hour, I would say, please don't do that.
And also always keep your eyes on the road, your hands upon the wheel.
Do not close your eyes when you hum.
I like that. Yeah, I like that very much. So that shows me that we are in a similar, age group. Just what you just said.
Morrison, yes.
But that was such beautiful stuff. I liked it a lot. And actually, I'm very curious. I'm not a professional musician, but I do write lyrics, sing, and play guitar, record in my home studio. From what you said, you're a real pro. So I'm in awe of that right away. But I can tell you just the little stuff that I do is amazing. And singers seem to get a lot of physiological benefits too, because it's the same mechanism, right?
Absolutely.
For sure. But, of course, with things like American Idol and all these other shows that have brought into our language terms like pitchy and whatnot, people have become so judgmental about other people's voices that they're terribly judgmental about theirs. So therefore, trying to use your throat chakra as a healing modality, it becomes clamped, but not with the hum, which is why it is such a blessing to be able to work with your voice and do those things. But for people who, shall we say, have some misgivings, start with the hum. The hum is, if you like, a gateway sound, which will open you up to all sorts of other sounds.
I love it. I love it. So if somebody says, what, me sing? No, my voice, yeah, just hum. And eventually you kind of build on that. So, I don't think we should create a show called, American Hummer. And the name is not a good name anyway, but you're right. I didn't think about this, but the judgment, these shows are very entertaining, but they're pretty good singers usually, and yet they get roundly criticized. So then the viewer says, oh my God, I'm like totally worthless. And that's not a good way to think about our voice. It's a very good point.
And it's not a good way to think about ourselves. And, being so judgmental of ourselves, then we become even more judgmental of everyone around us, and our self-esteem plummets. And so with humming, we've never heard anyone say, I just can't hum. I'm just a terrible hummer. Oh my God. We've never heard that.
That is an important point, because a lot of people we probably all do, to come down on ourselves, to be clear. I mean, you can win right off the bat,
Absolutely.
What else did you discover about the power of humming?
Well, here's one that's really pretty interesting, dating myself for sure. But I was at an event called Woodstock. And Woodstock,
I think I heard about it.
Woodstock began with this Hindu Swami named Swami Satchidananda leading 500,000 people in basically doing mantra chanting together. And I think that is one of the reasons why Woodstock was such a peaceful, benevolent thing.
I love it. That's great.
So Andy and I, every year or two would go down to his ashram in Virginia called Yogaville. Yes, that is really the name of it. Swami Satchidananda. And
we teach.
Right.
We go and teach sound workshops there. And we are very tuned into Swami Satchidananda in the ashram. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. But there, Jonathan has a great story, if we have time for it, about how once we opened up to wanting to write about humming, then this happened. You go, boy.
Okay, so we get into the hotel room that they have for us, or a motel room, whatever. And I walked in, and there on the nightstand is a book. And there's a book called the Yoga Sutras by a man by the name of Patanjali's, and every spiritual master has done their own translation of it. Seems to be something having to do with guruhood or something. And I picked this up and opened to Sutra 1.27. This is the translation by Swami Satchidananda. And it basically said the original sound of creation was the humming of pranava. They had to give this a name, so they called it Om. So the Om came from the hum. So on a level, then we discovered as we continued, there's something called Brahmari pranayama, which is literally the pranayama is breathing, okay, it's the science of breath. Brahmari is the sound going into your ear, and the humming bee sound. So a lot of times it's blocking the ear while you're humming, and this is a very advanced yoga technique.
So in the book, you demonstrate these two, as they call them, mudras. And one of them is the one you just related to, that you block your ear just on the cartilage part here. You just block, and then it clearly makes it much more intense, obviously, because versus it's a whole other world. And then you show this one. I think it's
right.
Yeah.
And they seem to be the same, but my question was when I do this one, this one, I'm touching this place. This place is a very, very meaningful place.
The asana, right.
Maybe there is some sound that goes even through my fingers to that, the third eye. I mean, so maybe that's what distinguishes this one from just this one.
Absolutely. And I mean, it is an advanced yogic
Believe it or
practice.
not, we had somebody in our workshop, and they've been teaching yoga there for about 30 years. We taught this as an exercise for 5 minutes, and they literally almost found it too powerful for them. They said, my goodness, I've been teaching this and doing meditation. I've never had this sort of power, because obviously it's total inward sound resonance.
Yeah, but of course, when we look at it from the viewpoint of somebody is reading your book, the humming effect, somebody reading your book, and they come upon the beautiful pictures of you, Andy, doing this and then doing this, and they say, what the heck? They call it advanced. I'm just going to do it. And they do it. So, I mean, from that, in that respect, it's not advanced in the sense that we can all do it. But I understand what you mean, that it goes very, very deep. Now, here's another question that I have. So far, all the humming that we did here were mostly just But you know, there is the Om Mani Padma hum, which people walk around.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it always had an appeal. I don't know why. Om Mani Padma, something. Are there any other? I'm sure there are many, but ones that you would want to highlight here besides just or is it just going to complicate our lives?
Okay, just real quick. The only one that there's the HMMM, and then there's the HNNN, which is a little more nasalized, which can, if you like, as a sound. But other than that, I mean, between the
Or you could just go
Yeah.
totally.
and that's even,
Right.
very powerful and easy for people to catch right away.
So for a traditional hummus, you would only keep your mouth closed. You wouldn't go
No,
But
this is the
otherwise, if you're
mantra.
non-traditional, beautiful.
Well, you lead up to it with Aum, but you really, I mean, what you said to you, I'm sure was very simple. To me, it was a little bit of a turn here, because throughout this whole talk, which I'm loving, by the way, and I'm sure our viewers are gonna love, I was in the M like Mary. And then right now you said, oh, you could do N like Nancy.
Uh-huh.
And actually, to me, that is not a trivial thing. I'd like you to talk a little bit. I know it's more nasal.
Yes.
And I literally, up until a minute ago, never thought about humming with an N like Nancy sound. So please just, can you talk about it just a second?
Okay. Well, for more enhanced nasal humming, I would certainly nasalize it by going the but also you can do this with a hum. So really, we are our own best laboratories, and what you experience, if you like, is what you experience, and that is what is most important for you. So if you are able to work with the NG sound and feel more resonance here, then blessed be, do it. And if the HMMM as opposed to the N works better, do that. So rather than breaking it up, saying here are two possibilities, and there are certainly more. We always, once again, like to be really fluid in terms of what works for you, because if it works for you, then it's real.
And I think what's happened is that this has opened up a whole new world to many people. And I always like to say, experiment, like try that nasal sound, try that sound. And, like just let your body take off with what feels appropriate for you in that moment, because we're constantly shifting and constantly changing.
So when they go Om Mani Padma hum, it's humming, but it's also chanting, because
Yes.
it's a sentence. People walk and say Om Mani Padma hum. I mean, what? I mean, just can you comment on this one?
Sure. We used to do for 20 1 year. We used to do a healing sounds intensive, which went for 9 days for 12 hours a day. And one of the things we would do
With breaks, we had many
with breaks, yeah,
many
people could eat and drink and play music and all that stuff, but it's very powerful. And one night, for example, we would do an Om Mani Padme Hum chant, and we would do that, imagine, for about an hour, and then have people sit in silence, and then I would lead them into a deep guided visualization where they envision the Buddha in front of them and basically work with the energy of compassion. But I'd like to suggest that the Om Mani Padme Hum, or in Tibetan it's Om Mani Padme Hum, just, you know, even different pronunciations. It translates as the jewel in the center of the lotus, meaning the heart center and the jewel of compassion being opened up. And these are specific seed sound syllables from the Sanskrit tradition that are said to resonate and open up the heart center and bring in the energy of compassion through the Buddha of compassion, who is known as Ten Rizig, or the Avalokitesvara.
This is beautiful. And now you actually brought me to another question that I have. Once again, I'm interviewing you primarily driven by the humming effect. But I really, especially now that we've talked, want to read the book about the chakras. And I know you have a lot of music, you have YouTube resources. Even in the book, you have a website, which I went to, and you actually give us some demonstrations, and you guide and you lead us, which I really, and we can download those. Now, in general though, do you work with people? Do you have, how can people, what is it that people can do besides reading your books, getting your music? Do you work with people one-on-one?
Not, we do occasionally, but our major focus before the pandemic was workshops, and we would, travel all over the world and, teach people. And then once a year, we would have them come here to Colorado, where we are, and we would do our intensive. So we are, more that one-on-one, but occasionally we do take on a student and, do now Zoom or Skype, but
we also have a couple of, blessed be, before the pandemic, we had 2 professionally filmed online courses that were basically 8-session courses, a couple hours per session. One through Hay House, which is a company, another called through the Shift Network. One is called Sacred Vibrational Frequencies through Shift, and the other is called The Power of Sound Healing. And I have to say, Adiel, that I have a degree in filmmaking. So I'm very, very fussy about making sure that the visual and the sound is really top notch. And these are, and I'm very, very pleased with them. So I would highly recommend.
So one of them was Sacred Vibrational Frequencies. And can you say, the name of the other one as well? Because I'm writing it down.
Sure. Power of Sound Healing. And I think we even have a link on our healingsounds.com website. Should be a banner at the top with a way that people can basically get them. And they're really good. I wouldn't be saying it if they weren't. I've had many, many opportunities of doing things that are, shall we say, less than what I would have wanted. But it's because I'm a filmmaker and a musician at heart. I want the best sound. I want the best picture that you can. I want the best teaching as is possible.
Now, you said that your main modality before the COVID, before the pandemic, was workshops all around. Now, are you doing Zoom workshops now?
No, we're mainly doing Zoom interviews, and a lot of people have become interested in, our book, The Humming Effect. And so we've been doing a lot of interviews, and primarily.
It seems to really resonate. I'm a long-term meditator, and it's different when you meditate in a room with just you, or 2 people, or 3 people, or up to 4,000 people, like I had the experience. Obviously, it's physics, it's waves, and there's, constructive interference and all kinds of stuff. With humming or with sound, I can see that you really want to be in the room with people, and you really want to feel those waves, which are very, very, when you meditate, it's very subtle. These are powerful waves. I can see how you want to be in a room with the people.
Yeah, and really, when I did those online videos now, they were filmed. One of them, for example, was done with a live audience because I wanted the feedback, the energy, and so once again, we haven't done any live Zoom things because I just have not been really satisfied with, just as you couldn't hear my hum before. Right. Zoom is wonderful for doing transmission of speech, but certain sounds, particularly, if you like single tones, it'll clip it off after a while, and people can't do it, and you can't do it together.
I assume there could be a platform, maybe that some corporations use for virtual meetings that are a higher level and higher capability than Zoom, but still, it's not going to match. Sitting here with you, I wish we were in the same room and we would do like some humming or I can already feel it in my body how different that would be, of course.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. And we really are glad that you appreciate this, because it's like, oh, people won't know the difference. Well, people who are attuned do.
Just on the level of the nitric oxide, just on that one little point alone, humming, it's almost like your civic duty. Everyone go out and hum. Are you kidding me? Up to 15 times more nitric oxide than breathing through your nose, which is a lot more than breathing through your mouth. So you can take yourself, when you think about it, why would anybody not want to do this?
Exactly. It's so easy, so simple, and so effective. And we like to say, conscious humming is simple but effective.
Totally simple but effective.
Just one question.
I'm addicted to that.
One question to you. I was experimenting. I have a standing desk. I was standing by my desk, okay, and I was humming. I wasn't closing I wasn't really meditative. I was humming. Made me feel great, I have to say. It made me feel great. And then you talk about in your book that humming, of course, we talked about, the vagus nerve, it relaxes you, it calms you down. But here's a question. Suppose that somebody went to bed, they woke up to go to the bathroom. They walk back to the bed, and in the meantime, oh my God, I need to do this with Shirley, and I need to send this check, and I need to do that. What's going to happen? All of a sudden, they find, whoa, my mind is very busy. I'm not exactly falling back to sleep. Now, the thing is, I experimented with this a little bit. I've always, when I'm still in a sleepy mode, very sleepy, the humming at first seemed like too aggressive to do from that place, because it almost I have to get up to do a physical activity. I'm laying down, but my system has to get up and hum, which when you're so sleepy. But then I played with it. It's very effective. So can you talk about that? Does it make sense to hum if you're trying to fall back asleep?
Absolutely, Adiel, because what happens when we hum, melatonin is released. And melatonin is that hormone that regulates our sleep cycle. And humming in the capacity that you just talked about is very effective. I have done it many times. Jonathan has done it many times. And that, sleeping is a big issue for a lot of people. And humming can absolutely help that if you wake up in the middle of the night, or if you are having trouble falling asleep and it's, that mind chatter, you just start humming and stay with it and stay with it.
And you can
I did something. I pulled double duty. I was humming while reading your book.
Boom.
But listen, you can actually be lying in bed and just with your head on the pillow and go, many's the time I've done that for 10 or 15 minutes, and it's so soothing. and relaxing, and really then I've fallen back to sleep, and it's also quieted the mind. What an incredible thing. It's quieted the mind, all those stray thoughts. You're just into the hum, and I literally become aware of this luminosity, this light that is occurring when it's dark and I'm humming. And I don't know if you experienced that at all, but try it. It's very cool.
I talked with a good friend yesterday, and I mentioned that I was going to do this interview, and she told me that she recently got a 16-minute Indian meditation, which includes humming. And she was specifically saying just yesterday, when I got to the humming part, I started seeing lights. I mean, exactly what, yeah.
Wow, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, once again, we did not invent the hum, but what we were trying to do, is help, if you like, initiate it again into mainstream consciousness, because it's so powerful. It's like breathing, okay? How many people, oh, I can breathe. Yeah, but are you doing proper breathing? Are you fully oxygenating your body and your brain? Are you doing this and that? Same thing with the hum. The combination of the two, breath and hum, is unbeatable. Then you add the aspect of intentionality. And one last thing that I'll just throw at you is if you start working with what's called heart-brain coherence, which is basically getting the heart and the brain together, working simply with the concept of gratitude and appreciation, that makes it even more powerful. It's a wonderful rabbit hole to go down.
I have to go down that rabbit hole. Jonathan and Andi, I want to thank you so much. I had so much fun. I didn't even realize we've been talking for that long. I find it extremely useful, and I really feel that people who are going to watch this are going to get a lot of benefit. And I, once again, want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Adiel, thank you so
Adiel.
much.
It's
And
our joy.
everyone who's listening and watching, may these sacred sounds really shift and change you. Last thing, we heal the planet. We heal ourselves. We heal ourselves.
And we heal the planet.
We have a choice, and we can make a difference.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today for the second part of our amazing interview. If you didn't catch part 1, don't miss out. The link is in the description below for you. And be sure to click the subscribe button for more videos.